Today I had the honour and great pleasure of presenting representatives of the community of Aix En Provence with a scroll, and it's a scroll that came originally from what is now the Czech Republic. So it's one of the 1,564 scrolls that came to England in the 60s, almost 50 years ago. This particular scroll is ascribed to its collection point of the Pinchas synagogue in Prague, which is one of the important synagogues which is part of the Jewish Museum today and can still be visited. This scroll was written, as far as we know, in 1880. Sofer, that is a scribe who is very familiar with how a scroll is made, would know from the style of the writing and from the way it's sewn together, from the way the sheets of parchment are sewn together. These would all be clues, and there would be all sorts of clues in the writing. He would also probably be able to tell just where it was written, whether it was written in Poland or in Germany or Austria, not necessarily in Czechoslovakia, which is where it actually came from.
Hello everyone. I'm Lisa, this is my brother Rémi. As you may know, we come from Aix En Provence, and we are collecting the scroll on behalf of our parents, and I've wrote just a few lines for them. This is thanks to everyone involved in this fantastic work, and I'd like to take a moment to thank the Memorial Scroll Trusts, the Or Chalom community that will be hosting the scrolls, and our parents, Mark and Nicole. Here you are witnessing the essence of what transmission means to us as part of our education. We've been raised with a strong Jewish identity, which implies humanism, solidarity, and most importantly, the love of books and instruction to us. And today we are fulfilling a dream that we know both our grandfathers, Simon and Ezra, would have had. This is a moving time for us. This is a family moment for us and for 3 generations, coming from Italy, Egypt, Syria, France, Algeria, and who knows where. And on behalf of my siblings, I would like to say thank you, Nicole, our loving mother. Thank you, Mark, our exemplary father. Thank you, Ezra, our brave grandfather we never had the chance to meet from Egypt. And thank you, Simon, our joyful grandfather from Algeria. You people and our family made this extraordinary time of here and now happen for Lisa, Rémi, and Flora, who is not there. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Well, I'm absolutely delighted to welcome all of you here today. I think it's the first time anybody's ever come from France to pick up a scroll, and we're so delighted to have this new connection to France. I hope that with Aix En Provence that we're going to have a much closer and warmer relationship, and that you will stay in touch with us and let us know how you get on with the scroll and what you do, because we love to hear these stories, and we love to hear that the scrolls are used and loved and welcomed. And from everything that David's told me to date, I think that this scroll has found a loving home. I should just tell you a little bit about its actual history. The scrolls came from collection points. We talk about the villages that they came from. This is a tiny bit confusing from time to time. A scroll was a symbol of wealth, and they were very expensive, and tiny communities wouldn't have had more than 2 or 3 scrolls if they were lucky. So to suddenly find that a small town has 10 or 12 scrolls, this isn't possible. What it means is that the scrolls were collected from all the communities round about, and when they were collected in 1942 to be brought to Prague, that these were the collection points. And the collection point from which this scroll came was the Pinchas synagogue in Prague. So I think that in fact is quite an exciting a connection to be able to make. You've got Prague, and I hope that you will manage to forge a relationship with it and with Prague and with communities there, because there are now progressive communities in Prague. I hope that you will find a group, you will get hold of transport lists. I mean, obviously you can't deal with the whole of Prague. I mean, this is where you'll have a problem. You'll have to use there'll be some creative intelligence that will need to be brought to this. I mean, most towns you talk about, maybe it's 50 or 80 people that were transported from these small towns. From Prague, it will obviously, from this part of Prague, it will be a lot more. But I'm sure you will find a way to say Kaddish, and in this way be joined from this scroll to your community and to future generations. It is a very beautiful scroll, and it has been largely restored. It's in good condition, it's usable, it's readable. I think you will have years of pleasure and instruction and love that will be transmitted through this scroll. And I'm so delighted to hand it over to you.
Right now that I'm very proud, because this piece of paper is what makes us Jewish. We have so many cultures, so many different people, but this is why we are Jewish. And to give this to a community who has not, I feel is a huge mitzvah. So thank you very much. Merci beaucoup. Voilà.
A few short words. Whenever I come in contact with Torah Scroll Czech Memorial Project, the verse that comes to mind is the words of the prophet Zechariah, Ud mutzal mi'esh, which is an ember which has been saved from the fire. It's as if the fire of the Holocaust and everything's been extinguished, but there's this one tiny glimmer that survived the fire and has come through and is still here with us today. The fire goes out and it's extinguished, it's not there. But a tiny bit of a fire has within it the power to reignite and to relight into the future. When I think that someone decades ago couldn't save their communities, they couldn't save anything, but they knew that something had to survive into the future. And they gave us a tiny ember of their communities. And we know that if you take an ember and you breathe on it the right way, if you supply the right oxygen, it can come back to life and it can recreate the fire. And something can exist in the future that has its source and its basis in the past. And the combination of the dedication of the people who wanted to preserve the embers and the dedication of the people today who believe in their Jewish communities and believe in its future is what is bringing our communities back to life and what guarantees that we do have a future and that we're here to stay.
Beautiful.
No, in fact, it couldn't. What you just said could not have been more apt, because we were planning to present David with this particular book, whose name is Out of the Midst of the Fire, which is the title of the story of the history of the Scrolls Project. And I have great pleasure, and it's inscribed to you, in presenting this to you. And I hope that you will read it, and it will also give you some background and in terms of your scroll and hopefully some depth.
Well, thank you very much indeed. I'll take that as we go into our new library.
Good, good.
Which we've started in Or Chalom. And I'd like to take the opportunities also to thank you for all your work, and also thank the support not just of our family and our friends who are here, but also of the committee in Aix, who are doing a great work in our community.
so special about our being able to give these scrolls back to the community is that, for me at any rate, it's such a testament of Jewish survival that these scrolls came out of the most terrible circumstances and are often the only survivors of the communities from which they came, because almost everybody perished in Terezin or in Auschwitz. And it's not the part of the story of our scrolls that I particularly want to emphasize. I prefer to emphasize the future, that Judaism is ongoing, that new congregations like the one in Aix En Provence are being established, and scrolls that have survived congregations which didn't and are going to communities like this where they'll live again. And for me that's something so strong and positive, and that's really what I think our scrolls particularly celebrate: survival and the future of Judaism.
Donc on a emballé le rouleau comme ça parce que c'est la seule chose qu'on a trouvé en quelques minutes tout à l'heure. On est un petit peu inquiet du fait qu'ils acceptent que ce soit un bagage à main et pas un bagage en soute, mais on est optimiste et on est très fiers de ramener ces fers Torah à la communauté Masorti d'Aix En Provence. Donc merci à tout le monde.
They've gone all over the world, and we don't have a lot in France, so it's rather nice that one of them should go to France. We offered them 3 scrolls from which they could choose, and they chose the nicest one, which has been restored and is actually in very good condition, and hopefully it will serve the community for many years to come. I think they'll have a lot of pleasure from it.